What is up, guys? Cody here, and welcome to another Napoleon Total War battle. So today we're at Tabuk Mesa. It's going to be a 2v2. So the rules for this battle were... Ooh, that was a good hit. The rules for this battle were 1 artillery, max 4 light infantry. And with that being said, let's go over the armies. So we have the French player in the right, actually in the northern side of the battlefield. And then opposite to them, we have the Prussians. So those two nations, are going to be on the same team. Now they're going to be facing the British on both sides. And what's really interesting about this map is, like I said, they're going to be on opposite directions. So normally you would face your opponent, but in this case, you're actually facing your ally. So both sides are going to have to coordinate with each other and make the right decisions in order to win the battle. So you see right away, British light infantry engaging some Sleazy and Schützen. Sleazy and Schützen getting very close. It looks like they're just walking up onto British positions. And that can be a huge mistake. Over here we have some Prussian cuirassiers. Looks like they're going to be doing some fake charges. We'll see where these guys are headed to. Looks like they are committed now, charging into the British line infantry, but getting mowed down as they do charge in, losing a lot of guys, already down to 27 men. They do make it into melee combat, but after forming square, these guys are going to absolutely get slaughtered. Already down to 15 guys. These guys are pretty much already out of the battle. Over on the opposite side of the field, you can see a lot of British line infantry. And look at this, 5-inch howitzers punishing French positions. Let's see where this lands. So targeting some carabiners as well as the general. Very interesting move here. Oh, that's one way to go. Wow, okay. Well, before that general did die, he was able to see the stars well into the air. That was incredible. What a shot. At least 100 feet in the air, if not more. Incredible. Well, anyways, what an introduction. So we have the Prussians pushing. It looks like they're going to try and get a section up the hill as well. We also have the French here. So it looks like a 2v1 right now for this poor British player. Meanwhile, his allies pretty much just sitting back and watching the battle. We have some Prussian movement on the flank. British player definitely needs to be aware of that. He's got some grenadiers as well as some musketeers and some more Sleazy and Schützen. But right now, the British player doing a really good job at containing the Prussians and keeping them from really assaulting their positions. We got another cavalry charge coming in. Got some light hussars. We will see where they are headed to. They're just charging for no reason. They're making charging noises for no reason. But here we go. We have a little bit of an engagement here. Got some guard seamen up against some Highland foot. They are definitely outnumbered though. So it's going to definitely make the battle a little bit more even though these guys are more elite. But that does not mean they're going to cause a lot of damage to the Highland foot. You see, already bringing them down to 102 men. But taking a look back at the artillery, still targeting the cavalry there for the French. But right now, Fusiliers, in the heat of things, actually engaging the 88th foot. And they're also going to be faced, or beside some Chasseurs. Now, they are not in light infantry formation, so this means they're going to be firing at a much faster rate. But that also means they're going to be able to get shot at much more easily. As for over here, it looks pretty confusing. The French and the Prussians are definitely trying their best, and it looks like this poor artillery piece is getting shot from behind. Looks like the Prussians have just left this unit behind for, to die, which is really not a good decision because this 12-pound foot artillery can definitely come into use. But you see, British positions, or British troops, actually going to start overrunning the artillery, and that is not good. I mean, he's completely abandoning that position, which is horrible. So those guys are going to suffer the ultimate fate, which is death. But a good charge here by the light hussars. Even though they charged into a square formation, it's going to keep them on their toes, and it's going to allow some of these French units to flank them pretty easily. You can see this foot guard unit really in some trouble right now, not sure where to go, surrounded on all sides. Chasseurs on top of the hill. excuse me, Voltigeurs on top of the hill, not to mention some Chasseurs and Fusiliers on the side. Big mistake here, though, by the French player. He's actually pushing up his old guard in a big cluster. That is something you never want to do when you're facing howitzers. But look at this. Guards team is still holding on. 45 against 48. But it looks like the British will win out, seeing that they do have a lot more numbers on this side of the battlefield. But taking a look on the left side, you see the engagement starting to pick up here. But the Prussians very mismatched, actually throwing their grenades. Let's see if this lands. It looks like they're going to land short there. And they are going to blast, explode right in the faces of the British. So not that effective. And they are starting to lose a lot of men now. You see just how overwhelming these British lines are. I think 5 units up against 3, so not even odds whatsoever. But luckily there are some Silesian citizens shooting down from below and actually hitting a lot of those British troops. Over here now, though, the Prussians do control the high ground. This player definitely needs to be smart with his movements to prevent these British troops from actually climbing up the hill. And it looks like he's doing just that. Silesian citizen not focused on where he should be right now. And he should be shooting downhill, but instead he's going to be facing these foot and Coldstream. Great cavalry charge here by the British player, charging into these dragoons, and we have a cavalry engagement here. It looks like the French dragoons are going to win out, seeing that the 15th Hussars are pretty depleted, and here goes another cavalry unit. So even though those dragoons did win that engagement, they still have to face another unit. They did get a very nice downhill charge, but still not enough. And that unit is going to break. Over here, it looks like this grenadier unit's missed micro here, and it looks like an execution right now. Got a firing squad going on. These guys are facing the opposite direction, and just like that, breaking with over 48 men. Over half their health, and they are breaking. But look at this. Artillery, you see, exploding all around the old guards. One direct hit, and that guy, or that unit, is completely gone. Oh, will this be the shot that does it? That was a pretty devastating shot, but nothing compared to what one would do in the center. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Oh, it did happen. Oh, that is not what you want to see. That unit just got decimated. Over here, though, Prussian player not making a smart move, even though he is taking the high ground. He's not spreading out his troops enough to counter those guys. Meanwhile, we have some foot charging in. They look like they're out of ammo. Voltigeurs is probably going to shoot them down before they can make it into melee combat. Losing a lot of guys. Voltigeurs is very accurate. Looks like they're not missing a single shot. And there they go, routing from the battlefield. So this British player is pretty depleted on this side of the battlefield, but as for on the far left flank, or southern side of the map, he's still doing really, really well. But it looks like both sides are pretty clustered with troops, just not a lot of room to work with, and as a result, they are in very thick ranks. Cavalry charge here by the British. They're going to be charging into the Young Guard. Young Guard are prepared, though. They do form square, and they're going to start dropping the numbers of the King's German Legion Light Dragoons. Luckily, there are some Old Guard here, but will they form square? Looks like they will not, and the Dragoons going to be charging in. Hopefully, those Old Guard can hold out, but on this other side of the battle, nothing but militia holding back. Wow, okay, so only 3 units of militia up against an entire army of British troops. Things are not looking good right now for the French. They do hold decent numbers in the center. They do control the high ground, so things are definitely not over for the French. But things are looking very bad on this side. Silesian Schützen using their skirmish techniques and engaging from afar. And it seems to be working. You see a couple guys getting shot here and there. But for the most part, things are looking pretty good for the British at the moment. For them, I'd say the majority of this game was enemy artillery. I don't really see any Prussian artillery or French artillery. I don't think the French brought any artillery. So, enemy forces not looking good at that part of the battle, but they're holding on strong right now. Militia not giving up this hill. Even though they are guys are getting flung across the map, They are not faltering, and they are holding very, very strong. They're actually about to get flanked on two sides, this time by the Highland Foot. Luckily, that hill is protecting them, and the Highland Foot are going to be shooting the hill. But as for the center, big push by the British, and still, these guys are in square formation. They need to get out of square formation. There they go, Old Guard engaging now. As for the engagement on this side of the battlefield, Musketeers taking a beating. A lot of losses now. Down to 72 men. The rest of the guys actually routing from the battlefield. He's finally starting to spread out. I just said that and he's getting clustered up again. So, Prussian player can definitely be making some better moves. And the announcer's saying that victory is within reach for the British. And that is becoming more and more true as this game does progress. As you can see, a lot of these units are now starting to break and waver. And as a result, the numbers are starting to dwindle down at a very, very fast rate. Artillery, the constant stream of artillery is just too much for these enemy forces. And we do have a melee engagement here, this time with the Highland Foot up against the National Guard. Easy win for the Highland Foot. And it looks like it's starting a chain rout. Looks like another militia unit did break, and they're going to get charged into once again. Not good for the French, losing a lot of guys, and they're actually going to be running back. That is something you never want to do in a melee engagement. You always want to stay in combat, because the second you pull your guys out, it's going to drop that morale, and also it's going to cost you a lot more lives. So if you're ever in a melee combat situation and you know you're probably not going to win it, it's best to stay in combat. But it looks like the Highland Foot, even though they have the numbers and skill, they're still getting hit hard. A lot of losses for these guys. Flag Bearer holding his ground right now with the drummer boy, but dying a very, very honorable death, and there he goes. So, Highland Foot holding strong though in the center. More Musketeers breaking. Now it's the Young Guard's job to hold this line, and they are all by themselves. Them and the Old Guard. Hopefully the Old Guard did train them right. But it looks like the Old Guard needs some training right now, seeing that they are facing the wrong direction. Hopefully he does adjust his mistake. Once again, those artillery pieces getting very close to enemy positions. As for the 9-pound foot artillery, it's pretty much worthless at this point. They don't have any arcing fire over the hill, so as a result, he's unable to use them. So seeing that there's only 2 or 3 units, 4 units actually left for the enemy forces, it is pretty clear who is going to be the victor. But nonetheless, it was a fantastic match, and it was very interesting to see how this one British player was able to pretty much counter 2 entire armies. Just taking a look at these guys here, it really didn't take any losses, and that's just because they didn't attack at all. It was pretty much all this guy's job to win the battle. So if this British player was not here, it would have been a clear win for the enemy. But great movements all around, great job in that 2v1 scenario, and ultimately bringing this game to a win for the British. There is the game. So taking a look at the statistics, thank you Dank for sending me in this replay. He got 1,068 kills, so on top of the leaderboard. His ally actually pretty close behind. It looks like he didn't do too much, and that's probably because of his artillery. Really curious how well his artillery did. I mean, look at that, 2 chevrons. That's easily 300 to 400 kills. So just like that, with 1 unit, he's able to rack up maybe around 300 to 400. So it does make sense he didn't really do much during that battle. As for the enemy forces, French player actually doing a really good job, getting 843 kills. And then we have the Prussian player getting 226 kills. Very, very bad, but it is what it is. Let's take a look at the unit statistics for Dank and see how he did overall. Foot on top, 139 kills, not bad. Lightfoot up next with 115 kills and 18 losses. Great job by those 2 units. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later.